You are now tuned into the 2-Minute Warning, a live stream community conversation pertaining to social and political issues and how we can collectively resolve them. Powered by the Westside Gazette.
Good evening and welcome to the 2-Minute Warning. I'm your co-host, David Wright, and I'm here with my friend, Mr. Bobby Henry Jr., the editor-in-chief of the Westside Gazette, the oldest, boldest, blackest newspaper in Broward County. How you feeling, my brother?
I don't know, man. It's been a while. Been a while. But nevertheless, I'm terrific and getting better. Trying to get back into the swing of things. I know it's been a minute since we have been on the show, David. Kind of missed it, but believe it, it was needed.
A well-needed, a well-deserved break.
I mean, yeah. After that, and I don't want to drag people back through the nightmarish happenstance that took America by surprise. But man, I tell you, it was something. But I think we both agree that a break was both needed and wanted, I would say.
Well needed, well deserved. I think I've spoken to several people who've taken a hiatus from media.
Withdrawal, I should say. People just boom.
Yeah, I think we're in a processing mode and a preparation mode for what's to come.
What's to come? Okay, I don't want to sound too philosophical or one that's not. I don't want to say worried, but perhaps the unexpected to be dropped on us. What was the hen name that was running around?
Chicken Little?
Yeah, I'm saying the sky is falling. I don't want to do that either, but
HARRIETTE?
yeah, all that.
The night watchman. I mean, I have relied on more than just our government when it comes to how I look at life and how I move and operate. And I know moving forward, our faith is what got us here, and our faith will continue to guide us and steer us where we need to be. So I'm holding on to that, as my ancestors said. My grandmother would often say, "Lord, what we gonna do?
What else gonna do?
What else gonna do?" And the Lord always provided for us. So I don't think there's anything different this time.
No, and you bring up an excellent point. I know that fortunately for you and I, we attend a church that is a teaching church, and one that explains some things from a perspective, from several perspectives, from one of heathens like, I won't say me, but for those of who are skeptical and who want to know and do our best about trying to find out. But we have an excellent teacher and preacher that has explained to us from a scripture standpoint that gives us a bit more assurance, when we find ourselves in those moments of doubts, if you will, or on the precipice of wanting to say, man, I just throw my hands up. I just no. So,
which I think a lot of people did early on, but biblically there are stories and passages that talks about leadership and how they're lifted up and brought down, how the good ones and the bad ones come, and they've always come and gone. We talk about Rome and Caesar. There were similarities to what we're experiencing today. So as we always say, there's nothing new under the sun. Things might not have gone the way you wanted it to go, but again, we are survivors, and we're here for the long haul.
That term survivors under some of the most adverse conditions. You know, I don't think that this guy can throw anything out there that perhaps we haven't experienced. You know, and still has come through that challenge or that obstacle.
Well, I want to say this for some, our younger generation may have heard stories, but they've been in a different environment, even than ourselves, in the generation you and I grew up in. So there might be some things that's a new learning curve for them when it comes to dealing and uniting and working together. And you know, you wrote a editorial the other week about speaking with our dollars, and I think there are going to be times when we have to really now strategically do that. We're going to have to work together and empower one another and be there for one another. You know, back in the day, we go next door and borrow some sugar or some milk or whatever, or some butter.
Wait a minute. Now, we
working together.
keep it in my window.
Yeah.
You know, and, speaking of that, one of our greatest poets, Nikki Giovanni, she had a poem that said about dirty windows. You know, if my windows are dirty, then I can't see out. Perhaps you can't see in either. But nevertheless, I want to
while
say
we're there, we have to honor our dear sister,
yeah.
one of the historical African American poets.
Yeah.
We salute you. Rest in peace, our dear sister. You are truly loved.
Yeah, she is, most definitely. And David, you and I were talking. Well, we always talk. But the things that we find ourselves confronted with, right? Under this, well, soon to be under this dictatorship, he himself said he was coming in on the first day as a dictator. So this, again, I want to stress the fact that this is nothing new to us. And you said something that is really something that we really need to focus on, and that's to reassure our young folk. Look, man, it's in your DNA, and sister, and others, it's in your DNA. Don't take this with a defeatist attitude. This is nothing new to us. We've been here before. Now, what we have to do is that we have to galvanize ourselves, come together ourselves. And one of the ways which you alluded to that I said was to speak daily with our dollars. What's the sister name that went on that not spending spree with businesses outside of those that look like us? Anderson?
Yeah, Sister Anderson, her husband, and herself, they did a remarkable feat. They intentionally put together a strategy for a year. And they were very successful about it. It's Maggie and John Anderson.
Right.
And they basically intentionally said, well, we're going to buy black for a whole year, 365 days.
Yeah. Okay, and I know we got to get into our show, but I'm just going to say this, David, and we're going to jump into it. That piece I wrote about speaking daily with your dollars, it centers around if we're being disrespected in the marketplace, from those entities who refuse to accept or honor DEI, CRT, or just outright respect of our hard-earned dollars. Black folk, what's the amount now? $1.3 trillion? We have the spending power of $1.3 trillion. And if we speak daily with that, we can create enough pushback that everybody would have to take a look at us and come to the table and deal with us. And this is where our economic gurus or those associations and grassroots people who are really on the ball and say, okay, we're not going to spend our money here because you don't do this, or you're not doing this, or this is what we want you to do. So.
And more to come there. We're talking and presenting some type of pathway, so we'll make it plain that people can understand how they can do this. And I won't say convenient, but more intentional. You know, we have to be intentional. It's not always going to be convenient, but we have to be intentional. And you're right. It's in our DNA. And sometimes we have to relearn who we truly are, where we come from. But it's in us.
Okay.
And it's all about now how we bring it out.
Okay. Okay.
Oh man, we got the sports guy on tonight, man.
Yeah,
it's been a minute, but our sports analyst, Coach Sylvester Newton Robinson, is here. And I know he got a lot of stuff to talk about, but I hope we can keep it short and sweet because we got to get into the meat of the show tonight. So, Brother Nooney, if you are ready for us, there's so much going on in the sports world. How are you, sir? How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm having trouble hearing you all. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, we're okay.
Yeah.
But I'm having trouble hearing. But if you want me to, I can go on. All righty. And I want to thank you again for allowing me to do this tonight. And I keep saying every time I hear you all introduce the show and what you're talking about, what I'm going to talk about pales in comparison. But we'll push on. In college football, I'm really interested in the Celebration Bowl, which is going to take place in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be between South Carolina State and Jackson State. Now, here's the uniqueness of the situation. When Deion was the coach of Jackson State, he had two opportunities. He had great regular seasons, but he could not end it with a Celebration Bowl victory against Buddy Pugh and the South Carolina State football team. And when Buddy retired, a young man named Chennis Berry took over, and he's got South Carolina State in that bowl now. And Deion also lost to North Carolina Central to a young coach named Trey. What's Trey's name? Oliver. Now Trey and Chennis are very good friends. Chennis actually applied his wares at Benedict College, where he had 2 undefeated seasons. So that's in South Carolina. So it's, I guess, a natural step for him to go to South Carolina State. And he's done extremely well. T.C. Taylor hopefully will do what Deion could not do at Jackson State, and that's bring home a Celebration Bowl victory and a Black National Championship. And the other game that I like is the Army-Navy game. I just like it for the pure entertainment and the camaraderie of the teams, and they play so hard, and they're equal in talent, even though I think Army has a better team this year. Let me move on to coaching hires. Everybody has been talking about Bill Belichick, whom you know has signed a 5-year deal with North Carolina after they summarily got rid of their coach who had won a national championship at Texas. It's amazing what goes on in college football. But the college football landscape has changed completely with NIL and with the players being paid now. And there is a possibility that players could in 4 years play for 4 different teams by going to the highest bidder. I really don't like it, but that's just the way it is now. And Bill Belichick thinks that he can make a difference at North Carolina because it's almost like a pro game, the college game now. These kids are selling their talents to the highest bidder. So we'll see how that goes. And 2 coaches who have been hired that have been basically in the background, Dan Mullen, who was formerly a reporter or an analyst with ESPN, former head coach at Florida and also Mississippi State. He has been signed to coach UNLV. And Rich Rodriguez, who left West Virginia for Michigan before he was dismissed by them, is returning to West Virginia. So that's national coaching news. In the CFP, that's the college football playoff. Here's the big deal. Alabama is not in it. Ole Miss is not in it. South Carolina is not in it. And Miami is not in it. 3 of those 4 teams are SEC teams. The SEC team is the strongest conference in the nation, and they beat each other up. What happened was that when Clemson upset SMU in the ACC, it put all those good teams ended up just going to regular bowl games, not in the CFP. You know, there are 12 schools now, and it should be really interesting, but no system is going to satisfy everybody because somebody's always going to feel like they were left out. And let me just quickly go on. Juan Soto, the baseball player, has signed a $765 million contract for 15 years with the New York Mets after playing for the New York Yankees. I'm sure the people in the Bronx are having a tizzy, but that's what he decided to do. Boy, money talks. He's a great baseball player. He's only 26 years old, and his contract actually exceeds that signed by Shohei Ohtani, who signed with the Dodgers, and they won the World Series last year. And Travis Hunter was named AP Player of the Year, and Travis Hunter, who plays for Colorado and Dion, is the prohibitive favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. I could go on and on, but I know what you're going to talk about tonight is more important. I can't really hear you, but God bless you. Have a great show, and I'll be listening.
Thank you very much. And
Thank
Coach,
you.
oh, you can't hear us.
Thank you,
I
Coach.
say Coach got to stop doing such a great job, because one of these sports channels might hire him.
They're gonna
Take him away from
They're gonna
us.
steal him from us.
Yeah, we can't
Well,
have it.
he honestly did an excellent job because he did talk about the Dolphins. So that's a
Okay.
great feat. We want to go ahead and move it to
Yeah.
our show tonight because there's a lot going on, and we were raised as gentlemen, so I guess we're gonna start with ladies first.
Sure, that sounds great.
All
We
right,
can do
we're
that.
gonna do that.
Mhm.
Well, I want to tell you a little bit about our guest. Her name is Kathleen Dean, and she's an Emmy Award director, producer, and photographer known for her powerful stories on social justice, including Being in, Wade in the Water, Drowning in Racism, and she's currently developing a documentary on civil rights pioneer Harriet T. Moore. She uncovers and unlocks history with an anthropological lens. A former city producer from the 48-hour film projects, she's also committed to mentoring emerging storytellers. Guys, I can go on and on, but we're going to bring Sister Dean on and let her share her story with us. Kathleen Dean, are you with us?
I'm here. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you this evening?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great. I hope I didn't chop that up too much, but there's so much more to embellish on.
You did just fine.
Okay, well, go ahead. Take it a little further. Just tell us a little more about you.
Well, I've been working in the independent film arena for over a decade here in South Florida as a city producer for the 48-hour film project, which is an international filmmaking competition that came to this community every year and fostered a real sense of community amongst filmmakers, helped to spur careers and get publicity for local filmmakers here. I am also a documentary producer. I've had some tremendous, what's the word? Success.
Documentaries?
Okay. With my most recent documentary, which is Wade in the Water, Drowning in Racism, which explores the historical, cultural, and spiritual connection that African people of African descent have always had with the water. And I've been partnering with an organization called Diversity in Aquatics and some local aquatic professionals to share the film as a tool for community engagement to encourage people who don't know how to swim to learn how to swim, to get lessons for the children, for adults, for water safety and drowning prevention.
Kathleen, you're modest in what you're saying, and thank you so very much. But the fact that you are so inundated in the community and knowing and have your hand on the pulse of the community, all that you do to bring our stories to life, we commend you for that. We really honor and respect you for that. So thank you. All right. You want to bring on our next guest?
Yes.
Let's do this. He's no stranger to the show or any other realm of reason. And that's our former senator, our labor union representative, A. Philip Randolph protege, just an all-around good fella, a community advocate, our brother, Mr. Anthony Tony Hill.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fred. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well.
First of all, Kathleen, I want the audience to know and the folks who are in the seat of introduction here tonight that next year will be 100 years of our fraternity, Theta Phi, in Jacksonville. And I was talking to one of the bros, and he was saying, you need to get somebody to introduce you. I think, Bobby, you the person. Hello, somebody. But
I owe you, so that's,
yep,
we'll be honored. Yeah.
yes. Well, first of all, I want to recognize and honor Kathleen Dean's time. Because of you, Bobby, I was able to reach Kathleen. So I want the audience to know that. And it has been a great relationship. We're in the throes of trying to find a deep pocket, if you will, to help fund this documentary on, in my opinion, two of the most heroic and not discovered, but in the NAACP circles, you might say they are revered, but one of the best kept secrets, Brother Wright, in Florida and around the country. Because when we get to the civil rights piece, we lose it kind of loosely when we're talking. They were the first martyrs to die in the civil rights struggle. I don't know any other couple who gave it all. And I want to just close out as we get into a little bit deeper on it. But there's a story that Mrs. Moore was in the hospital and a lady came to visit her, Bobby. And she saw it was getting dark and she had to get back to Mims, Florida. So she told Mrs. Moore, she said, I'm going to have to leave you now. And I'm going to be praying that you get your strength, that you'll recover. And she said, baby, come here. And she grabbed her hand, Brother Wright, and she squeezed it. And she said the proverbial words of, Harry and I did all we could do. Now it's time for somebody else. He died right there in her hands. And I tell you, I just get excited about trying to tell this story. I was in Washington trying to find some deep pockets there. But lo and behold, we got Kathleen on board now. I really believe that we're going to be alive in 25.
Absolutely.
Be alive in 25. And this podcast tonight will help us get. Somebody's going to be watching it that knows Tyler Perry. Now, let me just say this to you. Next Friday, the movie of the 688 will be shown on Netflix. And Tyler Perry bought that rights to the movie, so it's going to be debuting. And one of our fraternity brothers at Bethel, Bishop McKissick, is going to do, we're going to do what we call a watch party. But I know somebody that's going to be looking at this podcast tonight with you, Bobby, and Brother Wright, that will give a call to the station tomorrow to say, hey, we can make this thing happen. So let's kick it off.
Okay, very good. Very good.
That's a great kickoff too, Brother Hill. We know there's some listening ears out there, like you say, with some deep pockets, and we're definitely going to be on the crowd.
Before we get, Catherine, the GoFundMe page, we had difficulty trying to pull it up.
I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now.
All right, good. And I want to say this to all of our listeners and viewers. You know, this is a community effort. This is our effort. This is our opportunity to come together and join in and contribute to us telling our own story and our own narrative with those who look like us and are us and who actually are on the grounds taking care of business to make this happen. Kathleen?
Yeah, it's so important. When you introduced me to Tony Hill and Bill Gary last year, ironically, it was December 25th, which is a very important anniversary for the Moores for two reasons. It was their anniversary, and it was also the day that they were assassinated in Mims, Florida. I met with these two amazing gentlemen who have done so much work in the community to keep the Moors story alive and to get it out to the public, that it just felt like a natural union for us to get together, for me to employ my storytelling abilities to put this to the big screen so that we could share it with more people. You know, it's unfortunate that the Moors were left out of the history books because of the timing of their activism, but we can change that with this film.
You mentioned something, Kathleen. Kathleen, you mentioned something when you said we met. The producer is laughing because I just messed up names and I apologize for that. Miss Dean.
You can call me Kat.
Kat. Okay, we were at a theater of a screening, and I would hope that the respect and the courtesy and the what we gave towards that film, that is reciprocated, you know, and what you're doing. And if that person is watching, and I'm going to drop you an email to that person, that's reciprocated and comes back. I'm gonna be quiet for a minute and let David. But Kat, you understand where I'm coming from.
I totally understand where you're coming from.
Okay, great. Now, before we bring Bill on, I do want to just say this little snippet here. I got a news blurb here that says Black Cat Media collaborating with the Henry T. and Harriet B. Moore Cultural Complex Incorporated Board of Directors to produce and create a new documentary, In the Steps of Henry T. Moore, based on firsthand account interviews with the Moore surviving relative, former associates, and current historical activists involved with the preserving of the Moore's legacy. And in saying that, I think that's just a great segue to bring our brother, Mr. William Gray, on. Bill, are you there?
Yes, but I'm on my phone.
We see you. You're great. You're great. There's no problem. We hear you. We see you. You're good.
Okay. All right.
Could you hear me?
Yes. But not too loud for some reason. I don't know. I'm trying to turn up the volume here. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we want you to go ahead and just give us a little bit about yourself and some of the things that you just heard.
Well, first of all, I serve as president of the Harry T. and Harry B. Moore Cultural Complex Board of Directors, and I've been serving in that capacity for about 15 years. Through my service in that, we've been able to complete all of the additional components at the Moore Memorial Park. That is the replica house. We were able to get funds to construct a replica house and outfit it with the period furniture. And we also have life-size mannequins inside the house of Harry and Harriet Moore sitting at the dining room table. We have built a gazebo. We have twin reflecting pools that represent Harry and Harriet Moore with a paved brick walkway. We also were able to secure funds and build a community pavilion, which Brevard County Parks and Recreation actually rents that out to organizations, you know, having family get-togethers or other kinds of get-togethers. The gazebo is primarily used for weddings. We've had about 20 weddings in the park grounds using that gazebo. It's a very beautiful setting. And we've done some stuff inside the cultural center itself. You know, we had some monies left over from one of the grants, and we put down new flooring. We built a 4-tier water fountain right in front of the cultural center, which adds a real nice touch to it. Along with that, we are part of the Florida African American Heritage Preservation Network, which is a network of about 38 historic and museum sites throughout the state of Florida. And through them, we've been able to put on a number of cultural and historic programs at the Cultural Center, that Moore Cultural Center. In addition to that, I serve as president of the North Brevard branch of the NAACP.
With
I
that, with that, Mr. Gray, not to cut you off, but with that, I see that throughout our history, the NAACP, not only with the Moors, but I see that pops up with Medgar Evers as well. So the NAACP has been in the thrones of this since its beginning. Uh,
Oh yes, yes. Well, uh, you can't talk about NACP in the state of Florida without mentioning Harry T. Moore. He organized the first branch here in Brevard County in 1934, and then went on to organize some 50 other branches throughout the state, eventually forming what is now known as the Florida State Conference of NAACP branches, which he served as president, and eventually became the first paid executive secretary of the NAACP throughout the nation. So, yes, the NAACP and Harry T. Moore are intertwined very much there.
So, Brother Gray, I want to kind of segue back to Sister Dean right now, and we want to just have some casual conversation, especially as it refers to the documentary. And Sister Dean, what inspired you to bring this story of the Harriet T. and Henrietta Moore to the screen, and what message do you hope to convey through the film or the documentary?
Well, I was inspired by Bill Gary and Tony Hill. After our introduction, I drove up to Mims, Florida, and I got to tour the cultural complex. And I saw this magnificent facility that I think school children all over the state should take trips to and support, and learn, the details of this amazing couple that, dedicated their life to service as, first as school teachers, and then with the NAACP, and then Harry T. Moore got active in anti-lynching campaigns and registering people to vote. So, I mean, their life of service was just phenomenal. And Florida history is American history. And, amplifying this story amplifies what's going on in our state. It's information that should be known far and wide.
Mhm. And one of our viewers, who is a professor at Florida Memorial University in Miami, just said that the baseball field is named after Harriet T. Moore, and there will be a bust of Harriet Moore on loan to FMU and to be placed in the library. So people are listening, and those who are viewing and listening, please get your checkbooks out. We need to raise some money so we can get this project up and running. Miss Dean, if you will, could you put in the chat where we can send funds to?
Absolutely. We have a GoFundMe campaign.
Yes, we have a GoFundMe page, which Kathleen can give you the link to. But you can also, if you want to mail a check, you can mail it to the Moore Cultural Complex / Harry T. Moore Documentary, P.O. Box 817, Mims, Florida 32754, and that donation will go toward the production of this Harry T. Moore documentary. I might say that if anyone happens to be in Washington, D.C., and visit the National Museum of African American History and Culture, on the third level in the Civil Rights Gallery is a display to the Moors that shows the house and the picture of Harriet. And also there are some items, personal items, Mr. Moore's wallet, a stick pin, uh, Harriet's locket, which the late Evangeline Moore donated to the Smithsonian Museum to put on display there. So we have people, throughout the world and the nation who come through that museum that might see that display and learn a little bit about Harriet and Harriet Moore. Along with that, in 2021, our board, in conjunction with the Brevard Federation of Teachers, the local teachers union, we presented a proposal to the Brevard Public School Board that the Moores be reinstated as teachers emeritus because they were fired unfairly in 1946. And along with that proposal, we proposed that all 8th grade students be afforded a field trip to the Moore Memorial Park and Museum to learn about the Moores. And in addition to that, we asked that a task force be set up to create a curriculum about the legacy of Harriet T. Moore, which all of that has been approved, and the curriculum is being taught now in the 4th, 5th, 7th, and 10th grade in Brevard Public Schools. And
let me
just
ask you
this
this, Mr. Gray.
past summer,
Let me ask you
we created a children's book, The Story of Harriet T. Moore, that is now available in the elementary school libraries in Brevard County, as well as the public libraries there. So we've been working hard to make sure that any and everybody can learn about this amazing story of this couple.
Yeah, and Bill and the board are doing a phenomenal job locally. The beautiful thing about film is that it has a reach that is so immense that so many more people will get the story
Right.
to complete this film project.
Right.
And I think that's great. And Mr. Gray, I commend you on what you all are doing. But right now, we want to raise some money for the film. For that project.
Yes.
And so what I want to do right now, I want to just open this up to. I'm gonna come out my pocket. I know $100 ain't much, but I'm gonna give $100 tonight, right now, to what we're doing. And I want any of our viewers to join us in and give something. Let's make tonight the start of us contributing to telling our own story. So
Right.
I'll do that.
And I'm gonna definitely match that, and then we're gonna challenge everybody else to match what Bobby and I are doing.
Mm-hmm. And we're gonna do that tonight. I want to do this, and I know it's. What challenges have you encountered? And we'll speak of the whole group. What challenges have you encountered in researching and portraying this pivotal moment in the civil rights history, and how have you addressed them?
Well, let me chime in. Bill mentioned about the Brevard. One that I thought Bobby was very interesting was in 2022, I believe it was, or 2021, the school board did an official apology to the Moores. And they inserted in there a series of whereas, and indulge me for a moment here, but it says a resolution of the Brevard County Public Schools Board to recognize and acknowledge the unjust firing of Harriet T. and Harriet V. Moore, and implemented school curriculum, which Bill just talked about, include educational field trips to educate all Brevard Public School students of the Moores' accomplishments and to meet the required intent of the Florida statutes. Well, we know what's been going on with that about banning the books and all that. Mm-hmm. And it says provide for an effective date, but the but Brevard County has jumped out there with this resolution and making this apology for what they did to the Moors, because as Bill was saying, Mr. Moore became a full-time employee of the conference for Florida. And Miss Moore moved all the way to West Palm Beach to take another job. So this, is, to me, Bobby and Brother Wright, is a Hidden Figures movie that needs to be exposed and put out to the public. And I guarantee you that with Kathleen's backing and her producing, this could be another Emmy Award movie.
Okay, check this out, man. People are chiming in. It's that Miss Samuels says that I'm unable to match the 100, but I got 50. Sonia Robinson says she has 100. So we're gonna raise some money here tonight. Carmen Morris, I see you chiming in all the way from Connecticut. No, that's from Miami. Okay, so Russell and Carmen, we're trying to get this money in here so we can really get this thing off the ground. Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And Bobby, I just want to let you know I'm gonna match what y'all are doing tonight.
Okay, good. Okay, very great. Now, what other challenges and Miss Dean?
I don't know about challenges, but I mean, as an independent film producer, the biggest challenge, of course, is raising the funds to get the movie done. But I'm believing that we are going to do this in 25. We shot an amazing trailer this year. It's our proof of concept, so there is some hardcore video evidence of what we can do and the story that we want to tell. But one of the most inspiring things that I learned about the Moors was that they were very active in registering people to vote in the 40s.
Yes.
And if Bill, you want to talk a little bit about
no, go on. And I'll add on to you whatever you're saying. Go ahead on.
I just thought, I was so inspired by what Stacey Abrams did in the community, getting out there and registering people to vote. But I learned that the Moors registered over 100,000 Black people to vote in the 1940s. I was amazed and astonished. And I thought that information is something that should be shared with everyone.
Right. And Kathleen, that is so timely and relevant even today, as you know. And for Harry Moore to have that vision back in the 1940s it just shows you that this was a man before his time. The unfortunate part is that because the Moors died prior to the 1954 Brown versus Board of Education decision, many historians have left their story out, and so many people never knew about them. But if you look at it and do any kind of research into the Moors' legacy, you'll find that they actually laid the foundation and the groundwork for most of the civil rights issues and topics of today, from voter registration, voter education, to anti-lynching, anti-hate laws. They were fighting and advocating for that 60 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that pulled at my heartstring was the fact that due to segregation, that the Moors couldn't even go to the nearest hospital. They had to go 30 miles away. And
right.
And for Miss Henrietta Moore, the fact that she died 9 days, was it 9 days later?
9 days later, yes.
Yeah. So that and for those of our Jewish brothers and sisters, I know that you have some compassion about this, because you said on the initial show that there will be some support. So we're asking all those who have been involved in the struggle, and I want to bring up Viola Luisi back in 1955. As a matter of fact, March 25th, 1955, when she, as an activist in was it Miss Alabama, when she lost her life,
right.
So there's a connection that we really need to come together as a community and make this happen.
Oh yes,
Uh,
we need to bring that coalition back together there, Bobby, because it's important. We're all traveling the same journey.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So I'm gonna do some shameless plugs here because I'm gonna drop some names because we started thinking about this and talking about directors. We got Will Packard right here from FAMU, Tyler Perry, Spike Lee, the Hoodlum brothers. I mean, come on, Denzel Washington, Samuel Jackson. We got people that of substance that can do something. So Venus and Serena Williams, they're right down the street from them. Magic Johnson, Don Cheadle. I mean, Will Packard, we got folks. Oprah Winfrey. Come on, we got to start hollering at people and make this story known that this is really worth the cinema.
And I see my good friend Carmen Morris. Carmen, you mentioned the fact that I think you said Mario Van Peebles was doing something. Perhaps you can introduce Mario to Kathleen, and let's make this happen. You know, this is our moment. You know, we're talking about all this adverse stuff that we have become confronted with. But doggone it, let's show that we can rise. You know, like Maya Angelou said, from the phoenix and still I rise. So let's do this, y'all. Mhm. Okay, there was something else.
One other question I think we had here too, and again, this is for everyone, but specifically to Sister Dean. How do you envision this film contributing to the broader conversation about racial violence and injustice today?
Well, Harry's path directly crossed that of the Groveland Four, and I'm not
Okay.
sure how many of the viewers out there are familiar with the case of the Groveland Four. And he was instrumental in getting Thurgood Marshall involved in these cases of police brutality and lynchings. And, you know, the path that he laid through his prolific letter writing and his tireless crusading across the state, you know, fighting for justice, is something that's inspiring. And, you know, it didn't just start, you know, in 2020. This has been going on for a long time, and we have this, you know, this pillar of a man who is from our state who did these amazing things. And I think the important thing about history is to keep it alive. You know, when we forget the past, we tend to redo the same mistakes,
Right.
or we're not building on what our forefathers have laid down. So we need to keep all of his work in the forefront of what has happened so that we can continue to build on it.
And just to add on to Kathleen a bit, uh, this documentary would do so much to inform our young people of where we've come from. You know, we've made tremendous progress over the last 50, 60 years. And oftentimes, the stories of the struggle are not passed on to our younger generation. And they really have no appreciation of it. Not their fault. It's just that they have not experienced those things. But this is the kind of documentary that will teach them what our struggle has been and who the real heroes of that struggle has been. Certainly, most young people these days know the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and many of them Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and some others, and deservedly so. However, Harry and Harriet Moore was there long before we had the internet, long before we had social media, long before we had even they had the ability to be on radio or in the newspaper, but they were fighting for those same rights that many of our current civil rights leaders was fighting for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry. As we sit here and look at the viewers and their comments, I see Sonia. Sonia is saying that the Harry T. and Henrietta V. Moore uh, has a memorial park and museum in Miami. And that's Mims. That's not the same as what you're talking about, is it, Mr. Gray? That's something different.
That's
Yeah,
the same.
That's the center.
That's okay.
that's in
okay. So
Mims. That's in
okay.
Mims, Florida.
that's in Memphis. And also,
Yes.
I see one of our church members, Miss Betty Lumpkins. And Miss Lumpkins, maybe you're absolutely right. If we can get the churches involved and have them get behind this and let's see what we can do. I agree with you, Betty. That's cool. Um,
And as a Southern storyteller, the stories from the state of Florida are important to American history. I had the pleasure of celebrating the 60th anniversary of the signing of the civil rights legislation with Senator Tony Hill and Mr. Bill Gary in St. Augustine earlier this year. And there are so many amazing, I mean, the history is just incredible of the state of Florida. And there's been a lot of erasure. I mean, so much of what has happened here has been left out of the history books.
okay. Okay. What you got? One other question? Okay. Other than, I see, what role do you see the community playing in supporting this project? We've already talked about the financial part. How can this film help ensure that the Moors' legacy is preserved and shared with future generations? I guess we've answered that.
Well, maybe not. I mean, Tony, from the legislative part, should we be right now, Congresswoman? Tell us, Tony.
I think what we need is those people who are chiming in need to invite Kathleen and Bill to that community to tell the story. Until we can get this documentary done, we got to build some momentum. As they say in the chat room, we got to have so many followers. So being able to tell this story, just like what we're going to see next Friday here in Jacksonville with Tyler Perry's movie, the 6888, those were sisters that were a part of World War II, which happened because of another Floridian, Mary McLeod Bethune.
Yeah.
Was able to get to Roosevelt and them and tell them that that women who have worked for the post office should be a part of this. And they came in and did a great job, and now they're in line to get a congressional gold medal. So I think this is where we, from the ground level, swelling up from tonight, Bobby. Thank you so much for putting us on the podcast, you and Brother Wright, to tell the story of the Moors. Because here's the thing, the Moors moved to Brevard in 1925. So next year would be 100 years. That's why we say alive in 25, Bill. Alive in 25.
Mm-hmm.
But this is our time to come out. But tonight is going to be the opening stage view of what we're trying to do down the road. Because as Kathleen just said, our history is American history.
Yes, yes.
And they need to know the contributions of the Moors and what they went through going through the back roads of Florida, the black roads of Florida, registering African American people to vote. And
That's
now we
significant.
have folks talking about, well, I don't know if I'm gonna vote or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's significant. And it's in 1951, you know, if we were to, everything that happened pro-black after that was because of what the Moors did.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
it was because of them
Yes, sir.
that we have the NAACP branches across the state of Florida. It was
Yes,
because of them. And that part of history is not, it's not focused on enough, you know, and so I'm glad from the black press perspective that we're able to get involved with this. So this is going to go from Florida to the national level. So we can do our part in telling this story.
Yeah.
Let me just
To piggyback on
let me
Senator
add,
Hill's
Bill, before you
comments.
come in, Bill. Let me add this on.
Mhm.
That the Moors took on the educational system in the state of Florida in late 1940s, and they sued the Brevard School District to make sure that African American teacher was getting paid the same as white teachers.
Right.
This is another plug now, Brother Wright.
Mm-hmm.
They sued them, and because of that, other school districts around the country followed suit. So you talking about a Renaissance person? This was a Renaissance man.
Right.
And when you come up to, I'd like to invite you, Brother Wright. Bobby has been there on some occasions, but I just want you to see some of the writings that this brother was doing in the 40s. I mean, he was calling them out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why the bomb was put up under their house on Christmas night.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he died instantly, and Mrs. Moore died nine days later as they rushed her to the hospital in Seminole County. Now, we like to talk about Trayvon Martin getting killed in Seminole County. Well, there was somebody else died there, Miss Moore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hopeful that we'll be able, as we go forward, to form some kind of coalition or partnership with the Florida Education Association, because the Moores really did a lot for teachers in the state of Florida there, and they really need to be one of our main partners there.
You know, so Mr. Gray, as you said that, and we began to align the dates to see where we are on these timelines. Brown versus the Board of Education, I think it came in 1954. So that means that, again, the Moors predated that. It was because of the Moors that brought light to what was happening with Brown versus the Board of Education.
Right, exactly.
So we have an opportunity, folk, I'm telling you, to really be the ones who write our history and have it documented by Miss Dean. This is the time. You said alive in 25, or was it arrive in 25? Alive in 25.
Alive and arrive.
Yeah.
We're gonna add one more. We're gonna strive in 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brother Gray. Brother Gray.
Yes.
What has it been like for you? And I wanna get personal. What has it been like for you to be involved with this, and now perhaps finally being able to see some light at the end of the tunnel?
It's been satisfying. It's been frustrating at times, of course. As you might know, I'm an engineer by profession. I worked some 40 years for NASA as an engineer, and it was just serendipity that I came across some people who were involved with the Moore Park and Museum at its initial opening, and I was asked to help out with a fundraiser when that park first opened. Over the years, there's been victories and some setbacks, but I'm an optimistic person by nature, and you become in contact with people like Kathleen and Senator Hill and Senator Thompson and some other folks who share your passion for this story. And so that always gives you hope and more optimistic vision that, yes, we can complete this. And once it's completed, I think it will be an award-winning production.
Okay.
Through it all. Guys, we're at the top of the hour, so we don't want to belabor this any much longer than putting out that we are raising funds right now. We want to get back on the phone lines and let everybody know, all our viewers know, that there's some matches out there. Give what you can. If you can't do the C note, what they call them, the big head hundreds, you can do whatever you can. Every little bit helps.
Yes.
We are not. Don't be shy. I mean, this is what the grassroots level is all about. This is how we get it done. But before we close for the evening, and we still want to give you a chance to donate, we're going to put that. We got that GoFundMe link back up on the screen. We want to go around and get some closing remarks before we do close. And in doing so, we want to hear that encouragement from everybody on our panel tonight. And then we're going to let our dear brother Bobby Henry close us out. Sister Dean, I'd be remiss if I didn't start with you, because you just bring so much beauty and life to everything that's happening. What do you have to say about tonight's show?
Well, thank you again for having us on and sharing our plight with the community. And that's what it's about. This is about sharing the story of two people who were all about the community, who fought to keep the community safe, who fought for equal pay for the teachers in the community, and whose story definitely should be told. And, with the help of the community, we can do it. We can tell our own stories. So thank you again for having us. And I dropped a link in the chat to the trailer. If anybody would like to watch it to get a little more idea of our vision for this film, they're welcome to check it out.
Okay, we're going to post that up here momentarily. Brother Hill.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. We don't want to take it lightly. We've been able to raise some dollars tonight, but I still believe as an optimist that there is somebody that's going to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And I kept bugging Bobby about who down there in Miami you can bring to us, and he brought us Kathleen Dean, and she has been nothing but a shining light as we try to get this documentary done. I join in concert with Bill and say to you, it's been frustrated because I've tried to touch people inside of different organizations. And so, but I've learned one thing there, when the why is big enough, the how will take care of itself. So I just want to let y'all know that I'm going to be texting Bobby, one of the links to a film that I saw by the Brevard School District. And I think his name was Mr. Taylor, was emceeing it. And Bobby, I'm going to send that to you so you can get it to Brother Wright and other folks that are listening. But it has been nothing but a joy. And as we said earlier, we're going to come alive in 25.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brother
Greg. Gary?
First of all, I want to thank Mr. Henry and Mr. Wright for giving us this opportunity to come on your podcast and talk about In the Footsteps of Harriet T. Moore, the documentary. It is a labor of love, and I'd invite any of your listeners to come up to Mims, Florida, and visit the Moore Memorial Park and Museum. I'm going to give you a phone number, 321-720-8933. That's my personal cell number. Any of your listeners can call me to talk about this documentary and get other information. You can also go online to HARRIETTEMORE.org and see information about the film and our trailer. And as Kathleen has said, I think she has dropped the link to the trailer. If you see the trailer, have your tissue paper by your side because it'll bring tears to your eyes.
Very good. I want to say thank you to all of our viewers and those who have made a willing commitment to contribute financially to this cause, and those who may not have the finances but are willing to work to spread the word. Perhaps we can get some T-shirts made, something to this cause, and let's wear them proudly and make this thing happen. I'm just glad that God saw fit for us to bump into each other on that Christmas day, Kathleen, and pass it. I messed it up again, and pass it on to Tony and to Bill. Our producer is just laughing at me. That gets me. But nevertheless, I want to close by saying this. And if I didn't write my thoughts down, I would miss them. So I'm going to read my thoughts. It says, as we conclude, let us reflect on the wisdom of the African proverb. Until the lion learns to write, every story will glorify the hunter. This timeless saying reminds us of the transformative power of storytelling. It teaches us that unless the lion, us, the silence, the oppressed, claims the narrative only the hunter, them, their perspective would dominate and be celebrated. But the proverb also carries a profound hope that one day the lion, us, will learn to write and make movies and tell stories. When that day comes, which it has come now, the lion, us, our voice will rise, offering its truth and challenging the hunter's version of history. It is our responsibility to ensure that the lion's story, our story, is heard, valued, and shared. Through this, we honor the truth, reshape perspectives, and pave the way for justice. Thank you all so very much.
Amen.
Thank you. God bless to our listeners, and God bless you all.
Amen.
Amen.